One of my favourite bits of teaching is the first year evolution module. We kind of look at everything from viruses right up to how whales evolved, why the first whales had 4 legs, that sort of thing. I really like teaching it because it's something that often students touch upon at A-level perhaps, or they have a little bit of an idea about evolution from, popular science or the news or whatever. But I think it's only when you really get into it at degree level that you kind of realise how absolutely amazing it is. And I think it's amazing for quite a few reasons. I think the main reason I love teaching it is because we have a range of students who are they might be biologists, zoologists, or marine biologists. They might be interested in the whole world, or they might just be interested in kind of tiny little molecular processes. But what I like about evolution is that it contains all of those things. So we can understand systems at the ecosystem level. We can understand how natural selection is working on particular organisms in particular ways. We can understand how predation selects for certain cryptic types. And then we can look right down at the genetic level and understand what actually are the genetic processes that are involved in those changes. And I just love the way that you can choose what aspect of evolution that you're interested in. And I think that there's definitely something for everybody who is interested in biology in evolution. So that's one of the modules that I teach. I think one of my favourite bits of student feedback last year was a student said, I didn't think I was interested in this, but actually I love it. And that's my aim, because everybody should love evolution. It's great. The other module I teach, which I absolutely love, is a module called Section Social Behaviour. And I teach this with a colleague, and it's really nice because it just it really helps us. So I'm kind of interested in my research in sexual selection and how that can shape populations, and how it can actually lead populations to go from becoming perhaps one population to leading to differences in who mates with who, so that the populations eventually separate out and even become different species in the end. So my kind of favourite research topic is how species evolve. So understanding the role that sexual selection can play in that, I think, is for me really interesting. But when you look at sexual selection, it's just been responsible for the most incredible and insane traits that have evolved in populations and species. So I really like sort of exploring those and looking at the different selection pressures, trying to understand what the biological difference between sexes are. What is sex even? How does it evolve? How is it different across different taxa? What's the genetic basis of sex determining systems? It's so incredibly complex across the animal and plant kingdom. Absolutely amazing. So yeah, everything from, again, the molecular level and the genetics of these processes, even like the genetics of the behavioural changes associated with mate choice, all the way up to insane displays and dances that various animals do to try and attract their mates. My research is a mixture of things, really. So I think when I did my undergraduate degree, I really liked a bit of everything. So I did a biology degree. I then discovered ecology and how brilliant ecology is, because I hadn't really done it before. But I also really loved the cleverness of molecular biology and the way that we can be so precise with DNA sequencing and gene expression studies and things to understand exactly what process is going on behind the traits that then are involved in the ecological systems. So what I really wanted to do, I realised as an undergrad, was everything, like all those things. I wanted to do the molecular stuff and the ecological stuff. And so that kind of led me on a path to evolutionary biology in the end, via a bit of conservation. Because of course evolution is really important in conservation as well. So I wanted to do a bit of both, really, a bit of molecular. I wanted to use molecular tools to answer evolutionary questions. So that's what I try and do now. So I'm interested in, so one of the things that so I'm interested in mating behaviour, and I use cichlid fish as a model system to look at mating behaviour. But I'm also interested in the genetics underlying those behaviours, but also other types of behaviour like migratory behaviour. So I've got some really great colleagues here who do a lot of tracking studies on freshwater fish, and we end up with a lot of data about what sort of migration success and distances and all sorts of really interesting work using little trackers that go underneath the skin in the fish and then we basically see where they go, see how far they go. And I'm really interested in using genetics to understand what the genetic basis of that might be as well. So yeah, I kind of I do quite a lot of different things. I love animal behaviour. I love sitting underwater. So I'm a diver as well, and I like just sitting underwater watching fish. It's a great way to spend time. So yeah, I kind of end up doing a bit of everything because I can't decide what I like best, but I think it's ideal because actually what I like best is trying to understand the genetic basis of cool behaviours. I think the things I'm most excited about coming up are I lead a research cluster called the Happy Chemical Cluster, and we're a group of academics and postgraduate research students, and we're looking at the role of serotonin in animal behaviour. And it's a really nice it's a lovely group of people to work with, and I'm really enjoying working with them. But also, it's nice because we all have quite different interests, and we're coming at this same kind of problem from lots of different angles. So I've got 2 postgraduate students working with me on that project from a cichlid point of view at the moment, and that's really exciting. And we're just they've been working really hard to get some lovely systems up and running. We've got CCTV in our little experimental room, so if I'm at home and I want to see what the fish are doing, I can just log in. It's really amazing. So those experiments are just about to start in full force. So it's been a really nice couple of months of designing experiments, coming up with plans, getting things working, making sure everything's in place, and we're just about to start doing those. So I'm really excited to see what the results of those are. It's quite an interesting question because it has lots of different angles. So it has, as well as kind of a more general kind of what are the processes that define different behaviours and different mating behaviours, it also has quite an applied angle. So we can use SSRIs, which are serotonin reuptake inhibitors. So things like fluoxetine, which is commonly known as Prozac, they obviously affect behaviours, but they're also found as environmental pollutants. So it's some great work that other colleagues are doing here that's really investigated that in a lot of detail. But it's quite interesting and important to understand what kind of effect that those pollutants could have on animal behaviour. So we can come at it from that angle as well. And we've also got I've got a great colleague who is working on is going to be looking at the proteomics aspect of that, and I'm excited about that because I've never really done any proteomics work before, so I'm really looking forward to seeing how that develops. It's going to be great. What else am I? I'm also really excited because I have some fantastic collaborators who are, like I am, interested in looking at how vision can affect mate choice. And we're in a situation now in science where we can genetically modify organisms. So with the right ethics approval and Home Office approval and all the right controls, we can change the sequence in the or we can think about changing the DNA sequences and growing fish with particular traits and then testing what the outcome of those traits are. So that means we can very precisely test hypotheses about how natural selection is working in the environment and what the consequences for populations might be. So I'm super excited about that. That's going to be really fun. I think biology is a really good subject to study because it's just so big. It's incredible, and it really has a big effect on everything that we do, particularly at the moment. So you can see that biology is in the news literally every single day, and evolution as well is in the news every day as we kind of track these new variants of coronavirus at the moment. I think in general, it's such a great degree because there's so many different skills you can get. So you can specialise in particular aspects of biology. You can be very lab-based. You can be very field-based. You can do a bit of everything. You can do a bit of behaviour. And I think even if you decide that you don't want to carry on being a biologist after your degree, there's still loads and loads of skills that you'll get as part of your degree, which will help you. So kind of science communication skills, I think, are really important, and just sort of having an understanding of what evidence is valid for particular arguments that you might see being made on the internet. Being able to communicate those sort of ideas to friends and family, I think, is a really useful thing to be able to do. But also just like handling data analysis type things, as well as specific lab skills. There's lots of things which I think, even if you don't stay in biology, are applicable just in life and are just useful things to be able to do. So I think that when you do biology, you find a part of it that you might not even know you loved. And that's definitely the reason to do a biology degree, because what you think you like now, you'll love it even more because there's even more to learn about. And there's other whole components of biology which you won't have come across yet, which you might even love more. So I think doing biology or a related subject is a great idea because you'll discover amazing things.